Hey, what's up? I'm on the couch and I'm on camera and I'm looking like almost dead at you. So clearly, there's like serious shit to say, and I haven't even run the title card yet. And I gotta say, it's funny that I really feel the need to say this before what is likely to be the first visible like talking piece video that I do on the channel. But before we dig in, I kind of want to talk about the Hong Kong protests briefly and the objectionable opinions of certain individuals and some apparently shitty filming practices, or at least apparently shitty filming decisions that were made, and the resulting call to boycott the film that I'm going to talk about today. But mostly, I want to talk about the purpose of review. Because if I'm being fully honest, this review doesn't have a purpose anymore. The original purpose of review was to inform the public of whether or not a product, be it book, movie, etc., was worth your money. Whether it was worth their money. Another purpose was to give creators feedback on what works, what doesn't, and well, we know the House of Mouse isn't exactly listening to shit I have to say, except to strike down my videos wherever I may or may not post them. I'm not bitter. Or even to give prospective creators some pointers on the same. Technically speaking, I'm a college dropout, though, so my opinion in that regard, probably not worth much. Nowadays, review is just as much entertainment as the entertainment products themselves. And to be perfectly honest, if I don't make you laugh somewhere in the body of this video proper, uh, then I kind of consider myself having failed in the point. But that brings us back to the original meaning. And the question, is this movie worth your money? And I'd say that answer depends a lot on your views of the world and how you choose to interact with people you consider problematic. For me, absolutely, this movie is not worth my money. And it's not worth my money because I don't want my spending dollar to send the message, "Hey, Disney, keep hiring and working with people who have problematic opinions on complicated and volatile world situations." And it sucks that that taints what is honestly a very, very well done movie, in my opinion, which is entirely worth the watch. Whom hundreds of people had to work on in order to make it a reality. Quite literally, the voice of one person and some shitty filming decisions ruined that. That did that. It's like it's like if you were ever a kid and you had a teacher that said, "Hey, if any one of you makes a peep, the entire room gets punished." But this is where we are. So, if you are unaware of the broad strokes of the Hong Kong protest situation, like I was up until very recently, I urge you to do some reading. It's an easy topic to catch on Google. Wikipedia has like a pretty decent timeline of events that have occurred since last year, and be ready because the narrative is intense, and it's intense regardless of which side you are seeing things from. But again, I urge you to do it and to form your own opinions on the matter. I'm not there. I'm not affected by this. And I'm not really well versed in all the details. So I'm not the person to try to sway your opinion on this one way or another. It is very much not my place. But I will always urge people to inform themselves of the shit that's going on in the world. Because there's shit going on in the world. So if that's the case, then why talk about the movie at all? Why do a review of this film? Well, it's because I love talking about storytelling. And its many, many forms. And to be frank, I really want to talk about it. I've been excited about this film's release ever since hearing about its release and the extensive changes that were being made to the film to change its tone and differentiate it from its original source material. More excited for this one than any of the other Disney remakes to date, which, in my personal opinion, have all come up as not able to equal their source materials because they were just their source materials, but without the magic of the animations and with an added song or two. But I'll get into that into the review itself. The world's crazy. Treat each other well. Treat each other with kindness, respect, and empathy. And now, on with the show.
One Shot Wolverines. Review. Choose your player. Film. The stage is set. Video start.
So what do I think of the 2020 remake of Mulan? It's fucking awesome! Oh my god, the action is so epic. The new villain is so cool. Even Shan Yu, I'm sorry, I meant Bori Khan, got a fucking character glow up. The colors and the cinematography just bleed style choices. It's awesome! I mean, sigh. So, of course, it's not a perfect film. It has its fair share of unneeded stuff, pacing issues, dumb character moments, or blatantly exposition-y moments, and even a narratively flat character or two. But overall, I think this is probably the best Disney remake to date. And a set of steps I think Disney should continue following in the future, making their remakes more like reimaginings. Mulan's father puts it well in the opening narration. There are many versions of the legend of Mulan. This one is mine. They call out to you right there that, hey, shit's gonna be different, yo. Why does this work? Well, it works for the same reason that other remakes only kind of work. It didn't try to openly be its predecessor. After all, you don't try to out Robin Williams, and you don't try to out Disney animated, even if you are Disney. For example, if this done very well, albeit in the opposite direction, I'll bring up a remake that is loved by my inner group of friends. The Producers. The original Producers was a madcap comedy by Mel Brooks about a scheme to make a musical that would be doomed to fail so that the producers would catch a profit via, well,
investment fraud. It's a great movie, super funny for its time, the remake of which is a fully musical production following the same plot and is also equally excellent. To the point that having seen the new one first and expecting the same musical tone, my friends were actually unable to get into the original. Me, having seen the original first, was absolutely delighted and surprised to see an old favorite done so differently and pretty well. I was able to be wowed and surprised by it all over again because I knew not to expect the same that I was getting out of the original. Had they not made the style change and gave an entirely new tone to the film, I probably would have been left with just, well, this is okay, but it's just not Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. Removing the musical elements and comic relief elements of Mushu and Cricket, which were honestly probably best left as staples of the cartoon animal sidekick anyway, allowed for a differing tone from the onset, and most of these elements got to be transformed into equally awesome new elements for the remake, except for Mushu. Sorry, Mushu. But Cricket got turned into a fun bit of comic relief as one of the Kingdom soldiers, invariably either confusingly hyper competent, extremely lucky, or extremely unlucky. The melody for the Matchmaker song, Please Bring Honor to Us All, plays over that particular scene, and the melody for Who I Am Inside, or Reflections, maybe? The internet cannot seem to decide what the title of this song actually is treated like the main theme of the film, repeating over many pivotal scenes. Never have I paid this close attention to a soundtrack before, and I absolutely loved it. Using the lyrics to some of the other old songs as bits of dialogue was pretty neat too, though painfully obvious in regards to their A Girl Worth Fighting For scene. Without spoiling anything, the villains kick ass, though are admittedly a bit on the predictable side. But they also get a bunch more screen time to shine, time to interact with one another, and time to sort of let you know what they're all about. And oh my god, character motivation? Is that you, player? Movie mechanics wise, pacing is a bit of an issue. There's definitely some chaff that could be removed and some outright uselessness that could be cut. A few scenes don't get the magnitude that I personally think they deserve, while at least one goes on far longer than it had any right to. And a couple of hard turn 180s of personality conflict and illogical behavior, as well as a few instances of tell, don't show. But not so much that it takes you right out of the viewing experience in a bad way. So, grain of salt. TLDR, yes, I would recommend this one. It ain't Citizen Kane, but there is a lot to love and a fresh new feeling to the story itself. Now, on to Spoiler Town. Population, spoilers. Spoilers! Okay, let's talk details. To keep shit organized, we're going to talk about elements in sections. We're going to start with characters, move from there to world building, and then finally some awesome and not so awesome moments from the film and the ideas and themes they may demonstrate. And I know that doesn't seem like much. Oh, just 3 more sections, la-dee-fucking-doo-dah. But buckle up, Buttercup, we're going on a fucking ride. We're going to ramp up our character talk the right way by starting with our side boys, our love interest, our villains, and then finally Mulan herself. So the boys. No, not those boys. These boys. Po, Yao, Ling, and Cricket. They are largely comedic relief, of course, but I love them. I kind of think Po and Yao bleed into each other a little bit, and Ling kind of fades into the background more often than I feel he should. The real standout here is Cricket, though, who is consistently surprisingly competent or incompetent. He's a weird victim of, instead of showing, not telling, or even the other way around, deciding, hey, why not do both? You're meant to question whether or not Cricket is extremely lucky or extremely unlucky or intermittently just an amazing soldier. If you've ever watched overly sarcastic productions, you may remember their trope talk about the concept of a crouching idiot, hidden badass. Yeah, apparently that's Cricket to a T. Multiple times during training, he either fails via circumstance or lucks into incredible successes, or proves himself surprisingly competent despite breaking into tears during a weighted stair climb. He also gets pinned down by by a random catapult and, well, fucking this. Where the fuck did that come from, Cricket? But his intro is easily one of the most verbose of the 5th Regiment, explaining that his mother thinks he's lucky because he was born under an auspicious star, while everyone else sort of just gets their name followed by a catch this or do this or some other mundane sentence that has nothing really to do with them as characters, just sort of tells you their name. Admittedly, they aren't out of place moments until you overthink them really hard like I did. Together, the boys form a sort of familial unit of elements, admittedly not as unique as the original trio, but whom I'm always happy to see on screen. And honestly, who could be as unique as these misfits? And yes, whether fortunately or unfortunately, no, there is no cross-dressing stealth scene in the finale. Take that as you will. Feel free to debate it in the comments. Then there's maybe love interest not Shang. I mean Hong Hui. I definitely didn't need to look up his name despite watching the movie twice over upon watching this segment. So to put it bluntly, Hong Hui is perfect. In just about all ways, like problematically perfect. Hong Hui doesn't need to grow at all as a character. He's all there and very well adjusted. When we first meet him, he tries to help up Mulan after she'd been knocked over. When Yang picks on her for her taste in women, he fires back at him and encourages Mulan in private. And even after that, demonstrates an unwavering loyalty to his fellow soldiers in the very next scene. He's just perfect. He embodies the 3 virtues that the movie decides to harp on a regular basis. Now, this isn't a bad thing in and of itself. He's being set up as the benchmark for which the other soldiers, including Mulan, have to work up to. But this does make him a bit flat. Look back at Shang in the original and you see a proud young man, eager to prove himself, both in battle and to his father, that has to be knocked down a peg, that has to lose his daddy, and maybe deal with some confused sexual feelings. It really does give some punch to the moment after Mulan has been discovered when he ignores his duty and decides not to execute her, because she saved his life.
A life for a life. My debt is repaid.
Clearly showing some give. And there's conflict and tension that, hey, this shit could be the end for Mulan. She could lose her head right here. But Shang kind of comes through. Look at the same scene in the remake, and her exile is less powerful since, well, death wasn't on the table. And no one had to have an internal conflict over it. No one really knows Mulan saved them all, after all. Now, it's not a supreme misstep to make his character flat. He's not a primary character. He doesn't need to grow or change. And as that idealistic benchmark, he does his job narratively well. But I will say the changes to him were likely the weakest ones, in my opinion. And again, that's coming from me. I like this character. Bad guys. Okay, so Shan Yu, I mean Bori Khan, gets a significant glow up, though a real downgrade in size. Can someone please get Scotty Lee a step stool for his scene with the Emperor? Damn! But you get a new and much more believable reasoning for his vendetta. The Emperor has actually killed his father. And as opposed to being challenged by the wall you built, not only do we get to see him operate on a much more tactical level, but we also get to see him rally the leaders of the various Roran tribes. You see his charisma and leadership as well as his manipulative ways in regards to our next villain, the Witch. And they are spot on to create a hateable and understandable villain, rather than the wolf-eyed mystery monster that was Shan Yu. And oh my god, the Witch. I love this character from the moment she stepped on screen. Right after mentioning witches a scene earlier, Shan Lang starts tearing fools apart. My violent man-child shed tears. Big, manly blood tears. Her foilness is strong, being a wielder of the same strength Mulan has and being ostracized for it. She exists to show us what Mulan could become and how the world could treat her. The witch is relatable, being used by a tyrant that sees her as a slave to overthrow a kingdom which cast her away for forces that outright fear her. But because of her obvious foilness, her arc is, well, predictable.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
But when she's on screen, she's awe-inspiring, relatable, and you know exactly why she's doing what she's doing. And for Mulan herself, how does the heroine hold up? Well, pretty well, actually. While the original Mulan begins kind of clumsy and unsure of herself and has to grow into being a soldier, the 2020 rendition starts with a girl who is funny, full of energy, and a bit of a mischievous streak as well. She's already in touch with her chi, a energy or magic meant only to be used by warriors, apparently. We will get to that in the world building segment. I have things to say. Hang in there. Don't worry. So she goes in to soldierhood with some significant advantages already. Normally, this would be a problem. A main character, after all, needs to be able to grow, to be able to change in order for us to actually follow their arc. But she's been told to hide all that by her family. So she has to bring that out, almost against her own judgment. She has to be her badass self, or at least start to be her badass self, leading to more acceptance from her peers. Mulan also gets much more autonomy this time around, given that she chooses to reveal herself rather than being outed because of injury. Her journey isn't hide yourself, become a great soldier, find yourself as a great soldier, continue to be a great soldier after you've been revealed, but more of in order to be a great soldier in the first place, you have to accept yourself for who you are and what you can do, because hiding yourself is what was holding you back. Okay, let's talk about the world building. Did you notice how they never actually say China at any point during the film? Seriously, I've watched it 3 times now. The third time listening specifically for someone to say China. But no. They mention the Silk Road, an actual geographic location that runs through China by name, but not China. Don't know what to make of that one, really, but it seems like it had to have been a deliberate choice. And I thought it worth bringing up. They also call the nation a kingdom despite having an emperor. The political organization in this movie has some explaining to do. Don't look at it too hard the wrong way. And apparently, chi is a tangible magic that gives you ill-defined superpowers like bird transformation, body stealing, and arrow kicking. I feel like someone is definitely gonna get offended by this. I don't know enough about Chinese history and culture myself to know why necessarily, but this definitely feels like an oversimplification of some kind from my outsider's eye. Harness chi, become superhero. It's very loosely described otherwise, with no real rules. Just that if you use it while having a uterus, you'll likely become a witch and everyone will hate you. The village community aspect of the first act seems to have been pretty well fleshed out, and the way that side characters talk, you kind of have an idea that their villages are a lot like Mulan's, with their own matchmakers, their own troublemaking kids, etc. The matchmakers are honestly mentioned very frequently as well, emphasizing an underlying tension for, well, marrying right as a core piece of the world. And as for the Roaring Tribes, while we could have gotten a horde of Huns bloodthirsty for battle, instead we got a room of leaders waiting to hear from Bori Khan why they should ride with him, and one of them stepping up to reveal real motivations to claim lands and cease being nomads. Granted, Bori Khan does not promise them that, but promises them blood and vengeance. I guess the point is that they put some thought into the reasons for the invasion, even if not the war itself necessarily. Awesome and not so awesome moments. Going to try to take these in as sequential in order as I can. All right, let's go. Opening narration and sequence shows Mulan being an energetic child and her father being honestly pretty supportive. Get a good look at that face when she lands. That is the face of pure pride. At this point, I actually thought, sweet, we might be getting the allegedly original setup to this story where Mulan actually leaves with the blessing of her parents. Nope. Hard 180 after Mommy Dearest scolds him for indulging her. Who would want to marry a girl who chases chickens? Literally every male hand in the audience goes up. The sword sharpening scene is just sheer excellence. Just a moment between father and daughter, likely their last moment, and they just discuss fear and bravery and the terrible work of war because they don't know how they should spend this moment, just that they should spend this moment. Though, damn, Mom with the absolutes.
Your father is definitely going to die this time. He will not come back.
The decision moment is far too brief. It's a big moment and a huge choice that sets off the entirety of this adventure, and it's handled in a single cut. They even come back to this moment later when Mulan has a flashback of her sleeping family at camp. Just put it here, you assholes! Also, fuck Dad's speech directly afterwards about having overindulged his daughter's fantasies. It's meant to be like a good sign of him having like learned something and trying to give Mulan a blessing, but what he learned was some bullshit. But whatevs. Dispatch the useless bird! Caw! Bitch, how did you get lost? You're not even at the war yet. Writers, what the fuck? Why did she almost die before the first fucking threshold? That is like if Luke lost his hand before even getting to Mos Eisley. Or if Frodo gave in to the ring's power before leaving the fucking Shire or encountering a first ring wraith. Oh, I see. You needed the useless bird to do something useless, huh? Cut this scene. It serves no purpose and is dumb and goes on too long. By the way, this is going to be a running theme. This bird does nothing, interacts with nothing, and seems to be seen by no one but Mulan. Now, I don't know that they added it into more scenes after backlash from not having Mushu in this movie, but I don't know that they didn't either. Caught stealing, we kill you. Caught with a woman, we kill you. Caught deserting, we kill you. If you lie, even once.
Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
I think we need to talk to someone about these rules and punishments because, damn, some of these do not fit the crimes. The point is, I think, to create tension for Mulan, i.e., the one thing she is doing consistently is lying, and has the ideological punishment. Though, if we really read into it, she's broken or would be breaking all of these rules. She stole from her dad. She is a woman, and as such has brought a woman into camp, go figure. And her only way out would be to desert. Long story short, she's trapped here by all of these rules. Cricket, did you just deadshot that dummy with your eyes closed? Training montage is boss. Kind of awesome how they actually established this binder, which is going to save her life later. The three virtues salute actually foreshadows Mulan's first defeat, pushing the idea of being honest with herself. Until then, she, like the Rorans, can be defeated. Granted, a lot of these guys in the regiment still died too, so yeah. The pre-war pep talk is just perfect. Yao tries to make a morbid joke out of it. Ling, Cricket, and Po are terrified. Mulan and Hung Hui try to reassure them that they're in this together, but we catch Mulan having to stabilize her hands, knowing that she is just as scared as the others. But, like it was said earlier, there can be no bravery without fear, right? Horse chase, pimp. That guy's legs are broken, but I don't even care. Mulan versus witch. Protagonist versus foil. Your deceit poisons your chi. Now I'll kick your ass. It's a really good, if very predictable moment. It's nice to get some reasoning why the lying was harming her more than helping her, but it does feel a bit like telling as opposed to showing again. I'm just not sure how you would show that instead. Part of that comes from, I guess, Chi being given ill-defined superpowers. But whatever. The binder is better armor than the actual armor, and the bird is useless! Huaju is dead, and Mulan rises from the ashes like a phoenix, complete with mostly fire red motifs. All right, good work using your imagery correctly, boys. But again, this bird is useless! The shield formation that they use, that the Imperial Army uses here, is actually a real thing. It's called the testudo, or the Roman tortoise, or to Han Dynasty China, taking notes about having seen it, the fish scale formation. I've thus far only seen one source saying that China ever adopted this tactic themselves. Little history lesson for you. Absolutely love the new way Mulan causes the avalanche this time around. It shows more cleverness and deliberateness and cunning. The original shows quick thinking. Instead making both scenes equally awesome, in my opinion. We're not so different, you and I speech? We're not so different, you and I speech. Magic Lady, why'd you let her leave after telling her the entire plan? Your sudden but inevitable betrayal isn't for another, like, 3 scenes. Your Highness, Bori Khan has entered the city. He requests a duel. No, how'd he get here? No, where were the guards? Nope, just bring me my armor and my sword. I'ma kill this bitch. Spank his ass like I did his daddy. Metal AF, this man. Mulan and the boys storm the city. Does anyone else see this magical ass creature following Mulan around like a flying puppy? No? This bird is useless! The fuck did that come from, Cricket? Oh, hey, it's the foil again. They accept you. Yup. Well, fuck. Guess I better betray my asshole then. Cool, I'll come with. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Bori, why didn't you shoot again? Or, like, head down there with your sword drawn? I feel like you had plenty of time to, like, prepare for this fight, and you just didn't prepare for this fight. Oh, Mulan is the Phoenix. This bird is useless. Kick an arrow into Bori Khan's chest here. Falling action. Roll credits. At the end of the day, while far from a perfect film, 2020's Mulan does everything I want in a remake of a beloved property. It uses my nostalgia in transformative ways instead of trying to just catch the same lightning in a bottle again. They move forward to make new, bold choices in style and tone, and sure, that won't always work. Last Jedi, we're looking at you. But at least you can say you went and made something new out of the old. You didn't just copy and paste the old schematics. There's a moment in the film where the commander states that you shouldn't let the shadow of your father's sword hold you back. Now, I don't think they necessarily meant to speak directly to the remake machine process, but they did. And most of the remakes, I think, have been held back by trying to hold on too tightly to their predecessor's shadow. But hey, what do I know? Thanks for listening. You'll hear from me in the next video. Good night.